This is the most important video I will ever make. And I can't believe I'm doing this over Call of Duty gameplay. But hey, it is what it is. I have debated for a week now whether I was going to make this video or not, because I don't want to induce fear. But truth is that people need to be aware of this, and I need to at least put this out there so it has the opportunity to raise awareness that this is actually happening. Hopefully with the gameplay and everything else, this can actually get out to the average person. In 2023, I decided to go down the rabbit hole. I spent 12 hours every single day researching. Even when I was at work, I had an earphone in, listening to audiobooks or YouTube videos explaining complicated topics. I wanted to understand why the world is the way it is and why there's evil controlling our world. A couple of months in, I came to the realization that the end times in the Bible was coming true. In the Bible, there is a book called the Book of Revelations, and it's essentially about the apocalypse, which means revealing, or quote unquote, end of the world. Now, at this point, I wasn't spiritual, I wasn't even religious. I believed there was a creator, but we just didn't really understand it. And so when I realized the Book of Revelation was coming true, I thought that this is proof that Christianity is the 100% truth. I started researching. And I came to the opinion that if this really is the end times, then it would happen in our lifetime. But not just that, it would happen in the next couple of years. I studied the powerful of this world. I studied the symbolism. I studied what the future could look like in regards to artificial intelligence. And obviously there's lots of people throughout history who said the Book of Revelation is coming true because of World War II, this and that. But you have to understand really what artificial intelligence is. This is not a joke. This is the greatest tool in the entire world that has ever been created. It's the most powerful tool. And you combine this with evil people ruling the world and what their plans are for the future and what they show us through movies and everything else, well, the future does not look great, does it? Now, I can't explain to you and get you to understand the full extent of this. I really can't. People think they can understand the world through a YouTube video or a tweet. No, okay? You have to read 100 books, spend hours and hours watching in-depth YouTube videos, contemplating, thinking, looking at all perspectives and theories with discernment, with zero biases. It takes a long time. Okay? I cannot make you understand the same things that I know because I've seen things that have changed my perception of reality. Things that you have not seen. Things that you probably can't comprehend. So, in 2023 / beginning of 2024, I thought that if the Book of Revelation was coming true through my research, it would happen and start on a very specific date. Now, I'm going to explain my reason for this date in a moment, but I just want you to understand that I've matured a lot since then, and my research has gone on, and I now view reality through a new layer of perception. I have a very, very clear overview of pretty much everything now, and I really wanted to move on from this vague prophecy stuff because it's not really solid, is it? It is a bit vague. I wanted to move on with my life. I'm mid-20s, so, wanted to make a business and kind of just move on from this. So I've always had this date in my mind, in the back of my mind, and I've just wanted it to pass just so I could move on. And I didn't want it to be true. It was just there as a sign. So why I came to this date and what this date is because of this. There's a man called Tom Horn, and he's done a lot of research on this stuff. He's a bit of a boomer, and he has a bit of a boomer audience, and he gets visions about God and this sort of thing. Now, there is obviously lots of prophecy dates and people saying dates online, and there's a whole entire YouTube channel dedicated to this vague stuff. You know, I'm not an idiot, okay? I don't just find one date and then just live by that date, you know? I looked at his date and I saw things. I looked at other prophecies like the Mayan prophecies and other research and all of this, and I figured out, for me personally, that if this is actually happening, it's going to happen according to this date and this script that this guy's figured out. That was my perspective. So what did this guy believe? Well, he had a vision about a meteorite hitting Earth, and he figured out that this was a vision for a meteorite called Apophis, which is a meteorite NASA has acknowledged, and they've said that it's going to come so close to Earth that it's going to hit satellites. But apparently that's just a load of bull crap, and that's just a cover, because it will hit Earth, according to Tom Horn and his sources who are high at NASA. And again, yeah, this is his perspective. He could be full of baloney, but as I said, he had a date and I wrote it down. He said that this meteorite was going to hit on the 13th of April 2029, and he thought that this meteorite was the meteorite inside the book of Revelation. And in this book, this meteorite is called Wormwood, and due to his calculations, Wormwood would hit exactly in the middle of book of Revelation. And this book and the end times last for 7 years, which would mean this meteorite would hit exactly to the date 3.5 years into the 7 years, which would mean 3.5 years to the exact date before the 13th of April 2029 would be the start of the end times. So before I give you this exact date, what and how does the book of Revelation start? How does the end times start? Well, it starts with 7 seals. And when the first seal is opened, that's when the end times and the 7 years start. So what is the very first seal? The very first seal is that a worldwide leader declares peace. Not long after that, there's worldwide peace. And then seal 2 is worldwide war. And what seal 1 is it's a false peace. And I declared that this world leader would be Trump, and that he would have peace on this exact date, and then worldwide peace, and then worldwide war. So in 2023 / the beginning of 2024, I wrote this date down. I lined it all out, all of this revelation and prophecy stuff. And I said, if the end times is really here, if artificial intelligence is really what I think it is, and this is all going to go tits up, Trump will have peace on this exact date. So what is 3.5 years to the exact date before the 13th of April 2025? Well, it's the 13th of October 2025, so a week ago. So I wrote down in my book that if this is real, this is actually happening, and I wanted to move on, really did, then Trump would have peace on the 13th of October 2025. He could have done it on any other day. Could have done it on the 15th of October. Could have done it on the 10th. Could have done it in March. Could have done it in April. But no, he calls for peace on the 13th of October 2025. I remember thinking in the beginning of 2025 that surely this can't go on to October. Surely this war can't go on till then. But no, he does it on the exact date. So if you aren't really into this stuff, you're probably going to think that's like a coincidence or something. You're probably going to think, oh yeah, that's just like that's just a coincidence. Coincidences don't happen, okay? The day after I learned about Wormwood, I went into my job where I was working at a bar, and I saw this bottle, and I took it as a sign. I took it as a sign to say, you know what, you got to take this date fucking seriously. And I did. And I've been waiting for 1.5 years for this date. And I was hoping nothing would happen so I could just move on with my goddamn life. But no. Yeah, it bloody happened, didn't it? And even if you think it is a coincidence, please just understand this full theory. Please understand that the possibilities of what's about to happen is extremely high. So he's managed to get peace in Israel and Palestine, right? Supposedly. So what's he doing now? Oh, well, he's going over to meet Putin to get peace over there. How interesting. What we need to understand is this isn't really happening necessarily for a divine reason, right? What we need to understand is this is happening because they're following it as a script. They are looking at Book of Revelation and they're following it as a script because everything is just a TV show. So they have their dates. And I imagine when he calls for peace with Putin, worldwide war will happen. So to understand why this is happening and why Christianity ultimately isn't the ultimate truth, it's a lot more deeper than that. We're going to go through the Mayan prophecies. So these Mayan prophecies are over 2,000 years old. The first Mayan prophecy announces the end of the present cycle and a 13-year warning before the change. So the end of the present cycle is 2012, which is why people thought the world was ending then. But a 13-year warning before the change. So 2012 add 13 is 2025. The fifth Mayan prophecy says that all systems based on fear, which affect our civilization, will transform simultaneously with the planet and humanity to take a new step toward the reality of harmony. All systems based upon fear. I wonder what that's about. The sixth Mayan prophecy says that in the next few years, a comet will appear whose trajectory will place humanity's existence in danger. The Maya knew that for modern man to discover an asteroid so large and then divert it would be one of the major achievements of human history and a critical act that would unite us as a species. So this was another reason why I thought Tom Horn might be correct, because 2025 and the asteroid, right? So what the Mayan prophecies are about is it's about the age of Aquarius, and it's about ushering in a new eon. And essentially to get into this new eon, we must scrape all of this evil out. We've essentially got a virus and we've got to drink a load of fire to get rid of it. So that's one perspective, but I have another perspective that this is all coming from the creator itself. If you want to know more about that, you can watch this video. So it's highly possible that since this is over 2,000 years old and we have the Book of Revelation, that this could be coming from the creator or symbolism of the creator itself.
So he went with Alex to Bohemian Grove, and they filmed these rituals. These people dressed like druids, and they're burning this effigy in front of a giant owl statue.
I was at the owl statue. This is fucking hilarious. So I'm there on day one, right? And we're drinking beers. Like, it's pretty laid back. There's some really cool talks. I remember this dude talking about shooting asteroids out that might hit the Earth in so many years, shit like that. I'm like, fuck, this is cool. Oh, wow. But the first day, it was the first evening, and you gather around whatever, the owl by this lake, if I remember correctly, which could be a little hazy. It was a long time ago. And like, I've heard about this place. I'm like, this is some real secret ass shit, man. I can't believe I'm fucking here, right? And it's just a trove of celebrities. Fucking everywhere you turn, it's just fucking A, fucking A.
So we have two realities. One is coming from the creator itself, and his little minions or archons are just following a script. In this case, we take out the demons in the fire and overtake the simulation. Perspective 2 states that demons are controlling our world and is ultimately a test of human consciousness and a test of how much we have evolved. And if we pass this test, that would mean that we just take no BS from these demons any longer, and we place good at the highest priority. So that's the two perspectives, right? I still don't know what one it is. And now I'm going to explain to you a more theory that's in the back of my mind. So we all know how the one world government is ultimately their wish, right? And if you aren't aware, they basically are willing to do anything to do that. They want to create danger so that then humanity can unite. And then they can hijack that danger to unite the world into a one world government. So there's like lots of hidden projects and conspiracies that got leaked. And one of them was about how they're going to fake a spaceship coming to Earth so that then humanity can unite against the aliens, when in reality it was all fake. And to me, this asteroid thing, at least in the back of my mind, tells me that this could be a very similar thing. And that, yeah, we do unite, but then they just hijack that for evil. Which tells me, again, this could be coming from the creator itself. And a lot of the other Mayan prophecies confirm this for me also, or at least they're red flags for me. So, for example, the third Mayan prophecy says that we must become aware of our influence on the planet so that we do not continue making mistakes or causing its destruction as has happened over the course of history. So to me, this could point out to the whole global warming stuff. And if we know what they're doing with the new ID situation, it's kind of a red flag, you know. It could just mean genuine good and that we just treat Earth a lot better. But it could also be used to hijack and control us. But again, there is another perspective on the other side again. This is why I'm so in between. That, yeah, this is the truth, and this is how we evolve our consciousness, and that the evil and the demons of the world just essentially invert everything. What I've realized is that they basically place a negative connotation on everything that is true and everything that we need to do. So, for example, the one eye, that represents source, right? But they place like a negative satanic connotation on it. So a lot of people don't even try to take it seriously because they think, oh, this is clearly evil because the evil use this symbol a lot. But it's just the truth of the world. If you ask yourself this question, imagine you had no body, no thoughts, and no mind, and you were floating in space. How would you know you existed? And you meditate on that for a bit. That awareness is the exact same awareness with zero differences that's also in my head. That's also inside every other human being, every other animal, plant, and atom. So it's just, there's only one consciousness in the entire universe. And what the one eye represents is the all-seeing eye, the one awareness that looks for everybody. And that source is a culmination of the one consciousness and the one mind. So we all have the same mind, the same consciousness, and it's all looking for everybody at the exact same time, which I know is the truth. But they've just taken this truth and put a negative connotation on it. I really hate to divert in this video, but I really want to drill this home. I know older people might watch this, but I do have kind of like that Gen Z immature energy, so just bear with me with this example. When I was 15, I looked at anime. And I thought it was for like losers. Because when you look at anime, you see this whole negative connotation attached to it. The culture, the people dressed in anime costumes, it looks weird. And it looks like it's for losers. So when I was young, I thought if you watched anime, you were a loser. If you watched anime, you must be attached to this negative connotation to it. Like if you told me you watched anime, it would be like, nah, you must be a loser because of this connotation attached to it. You must be like all these other people. And then like a year later, when I watched anime, and I was like, damn, this is actually pretty cool. Like I made my own opinion about it, and I watched it, and I was like, damn, this is actually pretty decent. Like you can watch anime and still not be a weirdo. So what happened there was I developed an opinion and a negative connotation based upon experiences that weren't really mine. It was a surface level opinion based upon the negative connotation that society and culture has attached to it. And this is what the one eye and these negative connotations do. If you never looked into spirituality, if you're like Christian or you've never looked and tried to understand it, you can never understand how it's the truth because they've attached a negative connotation to it. And until you fully understand it, will you be able to make your own opinion on it? And they do this negative connotation with everything. For example, the one world government. People think the one world government is like evil, right? But it's all inverted, you see, because everything that the good should do is what the evil does as well, but in an evil way. So if we were to create the best civilization possible for genuine good, not evil masking as good, but good inside and out, you would create a one world government or a one world system in good. That is the solution. But they've inverted it and made it an evil thing. I hope that makes sense. And it's the same for everything. Most things that the evil do is the exact same thing the good should do, but it's just inverted. This world is just illusion central. This world is just a complete illusion. So I say that to say with that perspective that maybe the Mayan prophecies are right, but they've taken this thing that should be a good thing and made it an evil thing. Because maybe we are. supposed to be taking care of the planet. Maybe we are supposed to be taking care of nature. But they've taken this thing and made it an evil thing and made it a way to control us. They've essentially hijacked a good thing. So with that perspective, maybe we are growing humanity's consciousness, and this is just the test. Either way, though, the solution is the same. Overtake the demons, seek good, and act good. So the point of this video is to raise awareness of what's about to happen. And if you think that I'm off my head or this is just some weird coincidence and that they're not following this script, have it in your mind. And I don't want this to happen, but or if this worldwide war happens, at least you'll know why. And at least you can understand why it's happening. Because a lot of suffering and pain comes from the fact that you don't understand fully to the extent of why this is happening, why there's so much pain and everything, and why society is the way it is. If you can understand this video to this full extent, if you can understand this perspective to the fullest extent, if you can understand the two perspectives that branch off of this, then you can at least understand why this is happening. And it's very important to note as well that death does not exist. So even if this were to happen, obviously it's like painful, but you do not die. We need to stop fearing death. Your consciousness cannot die. You are the same consciousness that's in my head. Energy never dies, it only translates. And your consciousness is the purest form of energy there is. I think 90% of humanity thinks that when they die, their consciousness just goes pfft. And it's really sad, because I used to think like that before my whole research, which creates fear, which makes you more susceptible to accepting orders from demons. When you understand there is no death, then it allows you to stand your ground, and it allows you to operate from a higher place of consciousness, and it allows you to have less fear. Because a lot of what this Mayan prophecy says is that it's essentially humanity's fault, but it's not our fault. It's demons controlling our world. That is not my fault, and that is not your fault. That is not humanity's fault. These people are not humans. What this is it's a test to our humility, strength, and ability to have zero fear, and align with the good and what is right. Whether this is coming from the Creator, coming from the universe to test us, the solution is the same. Spread the message, be aware of this perspective, and be ready for what could happen.